marks on my hip, through and through. Shot a deer this year, very proud of that. I have a wife, Debbie, been married for 26 years, 4 kids. Mariah is a junior in college, going for nursing. Elijah is a senior in high school at Janesville Craig. Hattie is a sophomore at Janesville Craig, and Abigail is a freshman at Oak Hill Christian. Is that the other school? So this morning, what I want to do is a series we did last fall. So Darcy, Mrs. Hurley, you can fall asleep if you'd like.
Thank you.
I want you to imagine for a moment where you're going to be when you're 35 years old. Just even close your eyes if you want. What is life going to look like at 35 years old? Who are you going to be married to? What's he going to look like? What's she going to look like? Where are you going to live? How much money are you going to have? What are you going to be doing? How many kids? Just kind of visualize what you're going to be doing at 35 years old, just for a few moments. What I want to do is talk to you this morning about the principle of the path. It's a series I did last fall. It's based on a book by Pastor Andy Stanley. Some of you might have heard some of these principles. The principle is that the paths we choose, the choices we make, the decisions we make in life lead to that destination. Not your intentions, not your hopes, not your dreams, but the choices, the decisions, the path you take. The principle of the path is true at all times, in all cultures, in all generations. It's what you call a supercultural principle. It doesn't change with time, doesn't change with culture, doesn't change with race. It is always true. The destination, if you are taking a path that leads to Chicago, you're taking I-90 south, you will get to Chicago. That's where the path will take you. If you want to get to Chicago, but you take the I-90 northeast path or northwest path, you will not end up in Chicago. The destination will be Janesville, Madison. Okay, it's a very simple principle in geography. But the same principle is true in life, but somehow we've gotten lost so many times. So where do you want to be when you're 35 years old? If you want to have a good job, it will likely include a path of college. If you want to have a good marriage, it will likely include choosing a mate wisely, looking for things that will last a lifetime. If you want to be rich, you will choose paths in life to get you there. If you don't, you won't end up at that destination, no matter what your intentions are at age 15, 16, or 17. I've never met a 17-year-old who says, when I'm 35, I'd really like to be unemployed. I'd really like to be living off the government. That would be awesome. Have my own, maybe a double wide in the mobile court. Nobody thinks that's where I want to end up when I'm 35 years old. Okay? Nobody says, man, I'm hoping by the time I'm 35, I'm completely addicted to alcohol. Wouldn't that be awesome? And I hope I'm divorced and my kids hate me. And how many 35-year-olds or 40-year-olds or 45-year-olds, that's exactly what where they're at. And the question I didn't ask you, where do you want to be with God when you're 35 years old? And I'm assuming, if not all of you, maybe all of you in this room are followers of Jesus Christ. Where do you want to be when you're 35 years old? My guess is none of you want to say, maybe it's like, it's not a big deal now, but none of you at 35 want to say, I don't really care. If I'm a big disappointment to God at 35, so be it. It really isn't important to me. Maybe some of you do. But where do you want to be with God when you're 35 years old? The deal with life is you only get once. You only get one shot at it. YOLO. Everybody know what YOLO is? I thought that was so cool when I figured that out. Adults, do you know what YOLO is? Yeah. You only live once. Mr. Mulder, did you not know that? You're looking confused.
I'm always confused.
Yeah. Well, now you can be cool. And you can say YOLO to your kids. You only live once. You only get one shot at this deal. But how do we really know what paths to take? What choices to make? I've never been to tomorrow before, and yet I'm going to have to make decisions today that will affect my tomorrow. How do I know what choices to make? What decisions to make? So, if I really want to be here when I'm 35, for you guys, you've never been 35 before. How am I going to get there if I don't know what paths and choices to make? As a parent, I joke about this a lot because as a parent, you're dealing with mine are all teenagers right now, and you're dealing with. No one taught me this in parenting school. And you can say about, no one ever taught me this. This is how marriage is going to be in marriage school. Or no one ever taught me this in life school. Because we don't know. We've never been 35 before. I've never been a parent of a teenager before. I've never been, married before. All these things we go through. In geography, this deal works really good. The path you choose leads you to the destination. If you don't know where you're going, what do? You bring out the map or you bring out the GPS. You plug it in and you say, okay, I've never been to wherever, Topeka, Kansas, and so I type in Topeka, and it's an awesome invention. Put it up on the dashboard, and away you go. You end up in Topeka. Wouldn't it be awesome if there was a life GPS? God, I want to be rich. I'm 17 years old, I'm 35, I want to be a millionaire. And there we go. Wouldn't that be awesome? But we don't have that. We don't have that. Life is in some ways, it's like this guessing game, like, do I choose this path, this decision, this choice? And I hope, I've never been there before, but I hope it gets me there. How many seniors are there? How many of you are seniors? We've got the senior section over here. Way to sit in front, guys. Way to lead. My son is a senior. He's in the process of college. And he's decided what college he's going to, what he's going to major. Anybody going to Cornerstone? Grand Rapids, Michigan? That's where he's going to go. Somebody shaking their head back there? No. Go to Cornerstone. It's a good school. That's commercial. But here's my boy, my only son. I've got 3 girls and 1 son. He's never been to college before. He's never even lived on his own before. He's never had to decide what he's going to do for a living before. And suddenly he's at this crossroads of life. It's hard. And so he's got to choose paths. College, that was the first one. That was a big deal. Those of you guys who are deciding, it's like, if you haven't decided, it's just like, man, well, what do I do? How do I pay for it? Blah, blah, blah. And then, I don't really know if I want to be a business major, a pastor, a nurse. I don't know. And so you're standing at this major crossroads of life, and here's my son, and I'm watching him do this, and of course we're helping him, but it's ultimately, he's got to make these decisions, and I feel bad for him. He's never done this before. And in just a few months, he's going to be moving to Grand Rapids. He's going to be starting life on his own. He's going to start a business marketing degree, which he's never done business marketing before. And away he goes down this path. That is going to arrive at a destination, okay? It's going to arrive at the destination the path leads to. But he doesn't know, ultimately. All of us. Whether you're a senior, or a junior, freshman, or sophomore, you're real close to that one, but this is life. And you guys are just heading out to these decisions and choices, and man, hoping you make the best of it, because when you're 35, you don't want to be a screw-up in life. Nobody does. You want to be a success. And if the pressure to the future isn't bad enough, you realize you only get one chance at it. There's a lot of times I wish I was 17 again and I could start over and make some different decisions that I made and take some different paths in life. I only get one shot, but as Christians, it is different. As Christ followers, it's as if we do have a GPS for life. It's not quite as simple as type it in Topeka and away you go. But we have a God who is in relationship with us and who does know what tomorrow holds. I don't know what tomorrow holds. I've got to make decisions about a day I've never been to before, as do you. But my God does know what tomorrow holds and wants to help me be a success tomorrow. He doesn't choose the paths. He doesn't make the choices for us. But he does kind of lay out some ground rules and give us some ideas of how I'm going to get to tomorrow. As Christians, as Christ followers, we're the ones sitting at a place in life knowing that we want to get to a destination. Whether you even think about it or not, you do. You want to be somewhere. You want to pass the test tomorrow. You want to get to a destination tomorrow. But we have a God who cares about the test tomorrow and knows about the test tomorrow. You have all kinds of choices and roadblocks and opportunities that you have to make just to get to tomorrow, let alone the big senior decisions for the rest of your life. So, I'm going to pray. Let's pray. God, we're going to open up the Bible now, and we're going to look at some decisions and choices some of the folks in the Bible made, which are there, I believe, with all my heart, to teach us how to make choices and decisions and choose paths in life. And I pray for these students. They're just a fun time of life, exciting time of life, but as they face graduation, as they face, in just a few years, all of them will be out there. living life in a world that, you know what, it's tomorrow. We don't know what it's going to be like. And so I pray, God, that this Christian schooling would not just be a deal to get their degree, but it would be a map for life in their walk with you. So God, help us all to learn today. In Him I pray. Amen. Most of us, all of you, probably had some opportunities to talk to friends or people who are telling you about how they've messed up their life. We're dealing with a situation in our church, 8th grade boy whose girlfriend dumped him, and he wants to kill himself. I don't know about you, but you probably, some of you have maybe been there, some of you are. You're thinking 8th grade? Come on, really? No, I always say puppy love is really important to the puppy, okay? He's sitting there with his head, I always want to do it like this. He's sitting there like this. How did I get here? What do I do now? And we're all of it. I'll tell you some of my story. Well, I won't tell you some of my stories, but I'll be sitting here going, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I got there. And I guarantee probably all of you have been there. You're like, I can't believe I did that. Or you talk to someone. And it's always that, as a pastor, people come and talk to you a lot. And so you're hearing their story, and you're just like, you just want to slap them upside the head and say, come on, seriously? You didn't see that's where the path you were heading was going to take you? You didn't realize this destination you're at wasn't, you didn't see that coming? Not always, but almost always, there are plenty of warning signs and red flags and open doors and closed doors that by the Spirit of God, we can make some of those choices and decisions that are going to lead us to the right place. Pastor Stanley Wright says, every decision has an outcome, every path has a destination. So when we arrive at that destination where we don't want to be, we really shouldn't be surprised. We should have seen that coming. All right, grab your Bibles. Turn to Proverbs chapter 27, verse 12. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 12. If you are not offended about writing your Bible, I want you to star, underline, highlight, draw pictures around this verse, because I don't want you to ever forget this verse. It's one that I had not found until I read Stanley's book. It's one that I can't believe I missed, that I never underlined in the first place, but it's a keeper. Proverbs 27, verse 12. Let me read it for you. This will be our main verse today. The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and suffer for it. Anybody have a Message paraphrase with you today? Let me read the Message paraphrase. A prudent person sees trouble coming and ducks, but a simpleton walks in blindly and gets clobbered. I love that. Visualize it. I kind of chuckle when I read a prudent person, let's picture two guys walking through the woods. The prudent person sees a branch, a low limb, and the prudent person, we're going to talk about what that means in a minute, says, oh, low branch, I will duck. The simple person walking through the woods sees low branch and goes, bam, gets clobbered by it, and the message said, and I think that's exactly a great paraphrase of what the Proverbs Solomon is saying to us. The verse is about two different people, two different responses as they walk down the path of life, and two different results. So I think let's just have two different points today. First is this: the prudent person sees what's coming and takes a different path. You can replace here, religion, let me just define it now. The prudent person is, you can just replace it with wise. Wise. The wise person. The wise person is heading down a path, they see a lower branch, and they redirect their path. I'm going to lower my path, or I'm going to take a different path. The simpleton keeps walking and gets clobbered, is what the Message paraphrase says. A prudent person is constantly looking at the choices, the decisions, the path ahead of them. Wait, there's a warning sign. There's a low limb. There's a roadblock. There's danger that way. And they redirect their life. They get it. They get that the choices, the decisions, the paths they make today affect tomorrow. It's really very simple. And again, the concept is simple. Carrying it out is sometimes very difficult. If you have a major test tomorrow, the prudent person, the wise person says, well, I could go out with my friends tonight, or I could study. It's not a difficult decision. It's not a difficult path. Obviously, studying is going to help me with the test. The prudent person says, well, I'm going to redirect what I thought I was going to do because this is going to help me. They know that today affects tomorrow and the choices you make. One of my favorite characters in the Bible is Joseph in the Old Testament. Joseph, turn your Bibles to Genesis 39. Genesis 39. I assume most of you know this story well. This is one of my heroes. Genesis 39. Just read real quickly verses 1 through 12. I'm going to keep rolling because I'm going to run out of time. Joseph had been taken down to Egypt. Potiphar, an Egyptian who was one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard, brought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him there. The Lord was with Joseph, and he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. When his master saw that the Lord was with him and that the Lord had given him success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in the eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household. He entrusted to his care everything he owned. From the time he put him in charge of his household, of all that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. The blessings of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and on the field. So he left Joseph care of everything he had, with Joseph in charge. He did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. Now let's talk about these next few verses. Now Joseph was well built and handsome, kind of like myself. And while his master's wife took notice of Joseph, he said, "Come to bed with me." But he refused. "With me in charge," he told her, "that my master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he owns has been entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master's withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. One day, he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants were inside. She caught him by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak and he ran out of the house. I want you to remember the age. Joseph was about 17 years old, the age we've been picking on today. He was still young. He still had all life ahead of him, a lot of major decisions to make. He's 1,000 miles away from home. Felt that his family had abandoned him. He remembered that his family sold him to be a slave. He was his own person, though. He could do whatever he wanted. Slave in the home of this wealthy Egyptian official. Potiphar's wife opened up a path. Choice. And it led to a destination. It led to her bedroom. Joseph's 17, on his own. Well-built, handsome. He's a slave. He doesn't have a lot of opportunities. It's the master's wife. She's not going to tell. Mom and Dad will never know. Go for it, Joseph. There are a lot of ways he could rationalize this. And you said, who can blame the guy? Life has not been fair to him. Here's this opportunity. But there is one thing that he saw down the path that I don't want you to miss. I closed my Bible so I can't quote it. Verse 9. It wasn't, what if I get caught? What if Potiphar finds out he'll kill me? What if I get a sexually transmitted disease? It was, how can I do such a thing and sin against God? I can't go down this path, Mrs. Potiphar. There's lots of reasons he could have rationalized. He said, "Man, this is going to be awesome. No one will ever know. No big deal." But how can I go down a path and displease God? So Joseph, being a prudent young man, a wise young man, sees trouble coming, and he ducks. He retreats. He takes refuge. He gets out of there. He looks down the path and he sees danger coming, and he takes a different path. If you don't know how the story ends, and I'm sure you do, I wish I could tell you that Joseph's prudent decision in his prudent life and taking the right path led to a very perfect life. And eventually it really does. But because of the path he chose, he is immediately accused of raping Potiphar's wife. I believe, and I think most people believe, if Potiphar really believed his wife, Joseph obviously would have been killed. He's a slave, but instead he's put in prison. I wish I could tell you that taking the right path, the prudent path, the God-directed path is always going to be the easy one, but the fact of the matter is it's oftentimes going to be the hard one, the more difficult one. But I can tell you this with 100% confidence, it's always going to be the right one, and it's always, hear this, it's always going to be the one that leads you to the destination you really want to get to. It might be harder, it might not look very fun at the time, but it will always get you to the destination you want to be at. Hear that loud and clear. Andy Stanley writes this: "The prudent draw upon the wealth of data that life has already provided for them with, and then they take appropriate actions when they see danger ahead. In other words, even though we can't see the future, even though we don't know what's down that path, they take what they've got from life, they take experience, they take the wisdom of others, they take scripture, they take prayer, and they take that and they say, okay, based on that, that's how I make my decisions as I take paths and choices into the future. First point. Second point is this: the simple person, the simpleton, sees what's coming, but keeps on walking right down the path. Again, you can put in the word foolish there, the foolish person. Well, why is it that all of us are foolish at times? We know what's down the path, and yet we go down there anyway. I don't know if any of you are struggling with smoking, but I've never met a 35-year-old who couldn't, if you could take a pill and quit at age 35, they would do it. But at 35, they're addicted. They can't stop. And yet at 16, it's so cool. And man, do I look really cool walking around with this cigarette in my mouth. And yet I promise you, I guarantee you, without a doubt, without an exception, at age 35, you're going to say, man, I wish I could quit. Guarantee it. And yet, how many teenagers just think it's cool and away they go on that path? I once described it as a car. You're in a car driving towards a cliff. You know the cliff is out there. The car's brakes work perfectly fine. You know how to use the brakes. But you just keep driving towards the cliff. I don't know why we do it. But we do. We know it's out there, we know how to stop the car, and we keep driving. Stanley writes, a simple person has the same data and information that life has provided for them as a prudent person, but they still choose to keep heading down the path. The Proverbs says a simple person will suffer for it. Message verse, and a simple person will get clobbered. But why should we suffer if I really don't know? I've never been to tomorrow before. Never done college before. I've never done tomorrow before. Why is it my fault, God? Why should I get clobbered for a decision or a path I chose when I really didn't know? Well, the fact of the matter is, God doesn't leave us to walk blindly without some kind of idea of what tomorrow holds. I'd say that 99.999% of the time, there are red flags and warning signs and all kinds of things down that path that God doesn't want us to go. And yet we still think, you know what, maybe I'm just going to keep driving towards the cliff. And you know what gets me more than that? We end up driving over the cliff, and we're laying there in this mess, and when we have our head in our hands going, God, how could I get in this mess? Why am I laying here at the bottom of the cliff all wrecked up? And you want to slap him upside the head. Didn't you see it coming? Didn't you know that if you went this path, that was the destination? That's the rule. Every path leads to a destination. If you take this path, you're going to get to the destination. If you lead to a path that falls over a cliff, you're going to get there. God is a gracious and forgiving God, but don't do the same mistake that a lot of Christians do. Forgiveness and consequences are two different things. As you're laying at the bottom of the cliff with your head in your hands going, how in the world did I get here? God's grace and His forgiveness is there, but don't equate that with no more consequences. The principle of the path is that you will always arrive at the destination you're heading toward. You can't pray your way out of that destination. You can't always repent your way out of those consequences. Are there exceptions? Can you drive off the cliff and land on a soft spot? Yeah. But they're called exceptions for a reason, okay? That's not the rule. That's not what happens. I'm picking on smokers today, If you smoke daily, you are going to have health issues. That's the principle of the path. That's the destination you're going to go. Well, but my Aunt Sally, she lived to be 102, and she smoked every day of her life. Well, Aunt Sally's the exception, okay? The principle of the path is the rule. The prudent see danger, they change direction. The simpleton, they keep going and they get clobbered. Consequences. How many illustrations could we have in our own lives, about this truth of this biblical principle. I mean, every one of you could probably get up here and say, yeah, I was thinking about it. Yeah, that's a path I'd chose when I got clobbered. And I knew if I went down that path, I would. Let me tell you the story instead. You can turn it if you want to look at it. 2 Chronicles chapter 10. It's the story of Rehoboam. He's the fourth king of Israel. He's the son of Solomon, the grandson of King David. You've probably heard the story, but King Rehoboam, after Solomon takes over the throne, as a king, obviously of Israel, he has all these decisions to make. Jeroboam comes to him and said, your father Solomon was hard on us. In fact, I forget where they went. I think they went to Egypt. Jeroboam and his crew kind of escaped the terror of Solomon. Solomon's gone. Rehoboam is now king. Jeroboam comes back. Hey, would you show us mercy? We will serve you if you show us mercy. We will be your servants. And Rehoboam did a wise thing. He sent Jeroboam away. He said, give me 3 days to think about it. Rehoboam did a wise thing. He went to his counselors and he said, what do you think? What should I do? The counselors of his father Solomon said, hey, give these guys a break. They said they're going to be your servant. Have them come back. He didn't like that answer. He's king now. He's a big man in town. So he goes to his buddies, some younger advisors, and these are the text says they went to school with him. So they're his buddies. And he said, I tell you what you do, Rehoboam. You tell him, my daddy was nothing. Forget how it words it, but my thumb is going to be more wicked than my daddy's rules. You thought my daddy was bad? He whipped you with whips. I'm going to whip you with scorpions. You ain't seen nothing yet. Okay, Rehoboam is the one in Israel that split the kingdom. Okay, under his reign is actually Jeroboam takes 10 tribes. They go north, takes the 10 northern tribes of Israel. Rehoboam takes the 10. And just see Rehoboam coming to this decision when he realizes this great nation, this kingdom of Israel, what it was under his grandfather David is no more. I mean, they're on their way now to slavery, bondage, defeat, and all this stuff. They're divided amongst themselves. And here's Rehoboam with his head in his hands going, how did I get here? Rehoboam, you got there because of the path you chose. The path you chose. Our family had the adventure of a lifetime this summer. We always wanted to try whitewater rafting. How many of you went whitewater rafting? Was that like a blast? It was so much fun. We were at a cabin in the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina, and it's some of the best whitewater rafting in the country is over there. So I went on the internet to find out, if we could take, so it's my wife and I and 4 kids, to go whitewater rafting. About an hour away. I didn't know there were options, so I'm looking on the internet. If I wanted to have a guide in the boat, the price was going to be $45 per person. This is my last story, I promise. $45 per person times 6. I don't know what that is. You math people can figure it out, but that's a lot of money. So I kept scrolling down. Without a guide in the boat, only $16 per person. Well, this is a no-brainer. Okay? $45 or $16? Duh. So I'm thinking, no guide for us. I taught canoeing when I worked at a summer camp, so my goodness, it can't be that big a deal. So we went to this whitewater place, 15 minutes of training. Helmets were optional. My youngest daughter was the only one we decided to wear an optional. I would wear a helmet, that was her option. We actually did okay. Got majorly stuck on a few rocks. No one fell out the boat, which was amazing. But I got to tell you, I was scared to death. I'm responsible for my 4 kids and my wife, and I had no idea what whitewater rafting was. And we had to wait. It's kind of funny. How many minutes I got? They said, go ahead. Those of you without guides, you can just go ahead and get on the river. I didn't even know where to sit on the stupid boat. So I'm like, well, let's just kind of wait in shallow water until we watch other groups go. So then we watched other groups go. So, by the grace of God, I'm still alive. If you ever have a chance to go whitewater rafting, pay the price for the guide. It is well worth it. In our training, we were told about the river, where the rapids would be, what side of the river. I was like, yeah, whatever, it's no big deal. You should be on what to do if someone falls out. We were told there were 2 level 3 rapids that we were going to be going through. That meant absolutely nothing to me because it's a level 3 rapids. Who cares? It's level 1, 2, 3. Who cares? It's a level 3 rapids. So I brought one picture. Here's our level 3 rapids. And you see my one smart daughter with a helmet on. And we're heading into, just at the beginning of a level 3 rapids. And I mean, I'm smiling and stuff like that, but I seriously, I was scared because I really didn't know what to do in the middle of this. The other thing was at the end, at the exit point, they said, make sure you do not miss the exit point. I really wish I would have a picture of this, because if you miss the exit point, you're not going to be able to stop. And about 100 yards ahead of you is the level 6 rapids. Okay, again, as they're training, I'm like, what's this level 6 rapids? I'm sure it's nothing, a little rough water. Well, by the grace of God, we got off in the exit point because they were like, it's a green building and you'll see exit, and so we're just like panicking. We cannot miss the exit after experiencing a level 3 rapids. I won't tell you what happened, but I'm thankful there was water. It was just a horrible. It was scary. And so fortunately, we got out in time and said, "Oh, I'm going to go down and see what a level 6 rapids is." Well, this level, if some of you know, it is about a 20-foot waterfall. And I'm not kidding. I think we would have died. I really do. I think we would have died, especially us idiots without helmets on. And so I was very, very thankful to get out of the boat at the proper exit site. The instructor had given us all kinds of warnings. Okay? When you get to this area, you're going to have rocks. It's going to be shallow water. Make sure you go on the right side of the river. Down in this area, you're going to hit your first level 3 rapids, and you're going to want to stay on the left as you go through that, because on this side, you're going to have some big rocks. It gives us, in 15 minutes, and I'm kind of laughing, because I'm just thinking it's not going to be that big a deal. And the biggest one that I did hear loud and clear, and make sure you exit at the right time, because you're going to have a level 6 waterfalls, basically. God has given us all kinds of warning signs and instructions. He has put people in our lives to tell us, what, this is how I got to where I am at age 35. And even though we've never been down these paths before, we can see God's hand and direction in our lives. The prudence see danger, and they take refuge. The simple person, they keep going. And they suffer for it. Because every path leads to a destination. It's a rule, it's a supercultural rule. It will happen. Today you have choices to make about tomorrow. The prudent see the danger and the warning signs. They take refuge. They take a different path. The foolish, they get clobbered. Let's pray. God, I do thank you for the Bible that is a GPS for us. God, I think of every foolish path and dumb path I've taken. Think of every time I've been sitting there with my head in my hands going, how did I get here? The answer is our no. You don't just leave us to walk this earth blindly. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that you care personally about us, and you care about the test tomorrow. You care about our college decisions. You care about what's going on at home. And you have the key verse really is to trust you, and you will direct our path. I'm so thankful, God, for that. And even though it's a simple principle, man, we get clobbered way too many times. And I pray that even today might be a reminder for all of us, with the decisions and choices and paths we have to make today, that we would seek refuge in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Tim. You are dismissed to small groups.